Today, all around us, we see people engaged in something and dedicated to improving themselves for a purpose, but it is not known how this purpose is achieved. In ancient times, people lived, thought, and acted in order to survive, but today, people can only survive as much as they consume. A person who cannot or does not consume is pitiful. While people used to be Homo sapiens sapiens, today they have turned into Homo consumens. It is no longer important whether they need something or not. What matters is what status they will achieve with what they consume. Today, people do not need to be rational beings. It is enough for them to rationalize. The importance of the rationalization process manifested itself in the early 20th century when Edward Bernays, Freud's nephew, realized what he could change in the American markets with what he had learned from Freud. The markets pressed the rationalization button under his and others' guidance. Edward Bernays began to use the system for his own benefit by supporting the feminist movement of the time and incorporating the slogan, "Women can smoke cigarettes too," into the feminist movement. Capital markets move forward with a single goal, regardless of opinions, equality, and human rights. And this goal is to ask the question, what's in it for me? In everything. For capital markets, a woman smoking a cigarette means that tobacco companies can double the number of their customers. Talking about people's consumption frenzy is both a way of raising one's own status and a way of reproach. There is a being who is caught up in the delusion of being able to pay with credit cards, who thinks that the person in front of him/her is friendly with the warmth of his/her coffee, in the face of a design in which entrances are easy and exits are difficult to find in shopping centers, and even the time is not shown, and who is more prone to buy things placed at eye level than 25%. Although the debate on "does man have free will" still continues today, this idea is as absurd as expecting the Greek god Dionysus to build a city. While markets can survive on consumption and advertising, human beings are only intermediate elements in the system, cogs in the wheel. The fact that Facebook, Google, and Instagram are free is to make sure that this wheel is not disrupted. Even though people are thought to be free, this freedom is no different from the freedom of the serfs of Tsarist Russia. Now people know why they work, and this is determined by the capital markets. Now people exist to consume. They work and immediately spend the money they receive for their labor to buy and consume things, so that the money they earn is returned to the masters of money, and so the wheel continues to turn. This is a clear example for capital of what we call recycling. Although the money recycled here is slightly reduced in the process of recycling, this reduction is essential for its own survival. It is also the capital markets themselves that produce the commodity called money. The spectacle preserves unconsciousness within practical changes in the conditions of existence. The spectacle is its own product and sets its own rules. The reason why the citizenship pension model is being tried today is that capital markets know that all the money spent will come back to them. The only concern of the capital markets in this model is the possibility that the individual may start to think. However, this concern is diminishing day by day because the capital markets know how to manipulate people as the data in their hands increases. The capital market has ensured the establishment of a world where being conscious is no longer a problem by capturing consciousness. It is a manifestation of today's reality that misinformation spreads 6 times more than the truth. In a world where it is already difficult to reach the truth, people lose the desire to reach the truth with the difficulties brought about by the fact that it is 6 times more difficult to reach it today. The order that puts truth and falsehood into a game of truth and plays a game of truth over it has introduced us to the normative. From the moment we recognized the normative, we lost the chance to be a subject and turned into a huge object within the system. What Foucault spent a lifetime trying to explain to the world is the establishment stages of this game of truth. Capital markets are based on this perception of reality, on the self-sustainability of capital markets. Let's take cities as an example. With the invention of the candle, man has dominated the night and thus opened a door to the pursuit of human pleasures. But totalitarian systems, in fact, isn't every system totalitarian, don't want people to do things at night and almost turn the night into an enemy. At night, the forces of order are asleep. The bureaucracy, the military, the schools, the police, in short, all the forces that organize our lives are asleep, except for the police patrolling the streets. Today's forces of order are no longer asleep thanks to technology, and so the capital markets have decided to take another look at the night. The capital markets want to ensure that cities continue to live at night so that their wheels can turn better. Cities are not built for people, but for how capital markets can better market their sales. However, if they were built for people, would there be so many roads for vehicles? The first person to do this was Henry Ford. Ford, who decided to build a factory, was approached to build a factory in Detroit, and Henry Ford's precondition was to dismantle the tram lines in the city. The tram lines were dismantled and sold to Lisbon. People are exposed to advertising, propaganda, everywhere, whether driving in a car, riding the subway, boarding an airplane, surfing the internet, or even watching a movie. It is a strategy of the system to make people think that they are still consuming too much when they are subjected to brainwashing. By the 21st century, we can see that man has turned into a freak who cannot see examples of such obvious things, while ignoring the fact that the production companies that make movies lecturing people on doing the right thing operate workplaces under the stairs. Nike, which considers it too much to give even $1 a day to its workers in Bangladesh, talks about ethical production and sells recyclable shoes. And Nestlé, which gives free baby formula to new mothers in the birthing centers of hospitals, ensures that mothers are weaned and then forces them to use formula, announces profit after profit every year. People's use of straws and plastic bags is being discouraged by turning them into a social pressure, but the use of 5 million straws leaves the same carbon footprint as a private jet flying for 1 hour. However, the person flying in a private jet is considered important and exempt. Recycling is another mystery, not showing which recyclable products can be recycled and how much they can be recycled, and making this a marketing strategy only benefits the capital markets. The human being, society, always remains the accused and can never ask the question, what is in my interest? Why is it that the sale of plastic bags for a fee instead of free when shopping makes a profit for the seller, but this profit is not applied as a discount to the products? Buying recyclables is both more expensive and only makes a profit for the producer, so why does the consumer buy it? Because it is a type of culture in which the majority of consumers passionately desire products and services for purposes such as seeking status, arousing interest, creating fame, and seeking novelty rather than providing benefits in terms of meeting primary needs. Consumers even pursue, acquire, and display consumption objects for this purpose. The overemphasis on recycling by the capital markets is not an indication that they care about the world, but that they know they can make a profit. If they cared about the world, the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing this year would not have used 130 snowmakers and 185 million liters of water to produce fake snow. 300 snowmaking guns would not be supplementing the snow with 1.2 million cubic meters of water. Therefore, in today's age of postmodernism, or post-truth as Keyes calls it, even if a person thinks they are rational, they can only make this delusion their reality through rationalization. The reason why human beings think they are complete without God, first by creating God and then by killing him, is that capital markets, which were not God at the beginning but were on their way to becoming God, have shown that they are God today with the big Cambridge Analytica scandal and the metaverse, and they owe this to the big data they possess. While the new God is adding data to their collection every day, the world has changed too much to be influenced by John Lennon's songwriting. The new God had Dionysus on a leash but forgot that Dionysus was a god.